I never thought of myself as a rude person. That was until I moved to America. And the first time I called my American friend a legend just for bringing me a coffee, he stared at me, genuinely bewildered. He asked, "What did I do that was legendary?" And that was the moment that I realised a friendly comment in Australia can sound weirdly aggressive to an American.
You better take cover.
But it goes both ways. What Americans see as essential politeness, we Australians often find strangely formal and cold. And what we consider friendly banter, Americans might just hear as a declaration of war. It's the classic problem of two countries separated by a common language. We share movies and music, but when we actually talk, we might as well be using completely different instruction manuals. This leads to a quiet, persistent reputation here in the US that Aussies are just rude. But are we actually trying to offend people? Not at all. It's just invisible cultural software. So let's kick this off with a big one, directness. Or, as I learned the hard way, the danger of the feedback sandwich. Now, back home in Australia, communication is efficient. If I messed up a project, my boss would just look at me and say, "Yeah, nah, mate, that report's the dog's breakfast. Fix it up." Was it brutal? Yeah, maybe. But I knew exactly where I stood. But then I got my first job here in the South. And about 3 months in, my American manager, she calls me into her office for a review. Sits me down, smiles this big, warm, southern smile and says, "Hey, I just wanted to say I love the energy that you're bringing to the team. You're such a rock star with the clients and the team in general." And I'm sitting there beaming. I'm thinking, wow, I'm really crushing this job. Time for a promotion already. Then she slips in this tiny, gentle comment. "I was just thinking maybe we could explore being a little more detailed with the weekly reports, just to really align with our synergy." And then she immediately finishes with, "But seriously, great work, Mike. Keep it up." Now, I walked out of that office feeling like $1 million. I thought I was getting a raise. It wasn't until 2 weeks later when she called me back in looking confused and asked why I hadn't changed anything about the reports. It was then that I realised I'd actually just been reprimanded. I completely missed the criticism because it was buried under 2 thick slices of toxic positivity bread. Now, to an American, that Australian bluntness feels like a personal attack. Now, to us, polite American approaches, they feel confusing, fake, and honestly, dangerous for your job security. Now, if you think our feedback is rough, wait until you hear how we show affection. In America, you build relationships with a steady stream of compliments. "Great job, you're crushing it." It's all about building people up. But in Australia, the path to true friendship is paved, maybe bizarrely, with taking insults. We call it taking the mickey, or less politely, taking the piss. If I really like you, I won't compliment you. I'll find a minor flaw or a funny quirk, and I'll tease you about it relentlessly. I learned how dangerous this is when I started working here in the South. I had this new guy that was on my team. Super hard worker, great attitude, really nice guy. Let's call him Scotty. So one afternoon, Scotty was packing up to leave at 5 p.m. on the dot. Now, he put in a full day's work. So trying to be the cool Aussie boss, I hit him with the classic Aussie line, "Oh, taking off already, mate. I didn't realise you were on a half day." Now, back home, Scotty would laugh and say, "Yeah, beat it, mate. See you tomorrow." But American Scotty? He froze. He turned pale. He started panicking. "No, sir, I just got in at 7:30 this morning. I worked through lunch. I can stay if you need me to." Now, I instantly felt terrible. I wasn't checking his timesheet. I was trying to say, "I see you. You work hard. We're comfortable enough that I can joke with you." Instead, I gave the poor bloke a minor heart attack. So this is where Americans get lost. Now, to them, teasing from a superior feels like bullying or a reprimand. But in Australia, if your boss is being relentlessly polite and formal with you, be worried. That usually means they don't think you're part of the team just now. But if they walk past your desk and call you a drongo or a galah, congratulations, you've made it. You're in. This next one explains so much about the Australian psyche. It's a curse that we call tall poppy syndrome. The idea is simple. In a field of poppies, the one that grows taller than the rest gets its head cut off. Socially, this means that if you get too successful or talk about yourself too much, it's our national duty to humble you immediately. This is the polar opposite of the American fake it till you make it mentality. I didn't realise how deep this was until I went to my first big job interview here in the States. I'm sitting across from this high-powered American recruiter. She looks at me in the eye and asks, "So why are you the best person for this role? What makes you special?" Now, my American friends had told me before I went in that I should say, I'm a visionary. I increase revenue by 200%. I'm the solution to all your problems. But my Aussie brain, it was screaming at me, don't be a wanker. Keep it real. Be you. So I panicked. I squirmed and I said, sure, I can give it a try. I'm not the worst person you'll encounter today. And hey, I always get to work on time. Yeah, that was a dumb move. The recruiter looked at me like I had just committed a crime. She didn't see humility. She saw incompetence. And thinking back now, it's no wonder I didn't land that job. Trust me, I learnt from my mistake. It does go both ways though. Aussies are terrible at taking compliments. If you tell an American, wow, incredible presentation, they'll say thank you. I worked really hard on that. But if you say the same thing to an Aussie, great job, we physically recoil. We say, nah, it was a disaster. The slides were wrong. I was sweating. I was a train wreck. We aren't fishing for more compliments. We're frantically trying to lower ourselves so you don't think that we're arrogant. And the confusing part about all of this, if you do something amazing and your Aussie friends say, yeah, not bad, don't be offended by that. You need a cultural decoder here because in Australia, not bad is basically a standing ovation. What's the biggest culture shock moment that you've ever had with an Aussie or an American? Drop a story in the comments for me. I genuinely love to read these. I think a lot of the stories you guys tell me are hilarious, awkward, or confusing. I don't care. Tell us about it. Let's talk about the biggest trap of all, the hierarchy. In many American companies, the organizational chart is a pyramid. There are the bosses, and then there are the employees. And you respect the rank. You use titles. Good morning, Mr. Smith. Right away, Ms. Davis. Enter the Australian. On one of my first management meetings, I saw the CEO walking down the hall. Now, in Australia, the CEO is just Dave with a better paycheck. So I walked right up to him, shook his hand, and I said, "Morning, John. How's it going? Catch the game on the weekend?" He looked at me like I had just sneezed on him. The room went silent. He gave me a stiff nod and said, "Good morning," and kept walking. I thought he was just being grumpy, but later a co-worker pulled me aside and whispered, "You can't talk to him like that. He's the CEO." And I was like, well, yeah, I know. His name's John. This is the fundamental clash. Australia is deeply egalitarian. We don't respect titles. We respect people. So to an Aussie, calling someone sir or ma'am, it just feels wrong. It feels like I'm saying I'm a lesser person than you. Maybe that comes back from our convict past. But in the American South, where I live now, yes, sir, no, ma'am, pretty much mandatory. If I don't use them, I look rude. And if I do use them, I feel like a Victorian butler. So if an Aussie calls your boss by their first name or treats the CEO like the janitor, they aren't being disrespectful. They're actually paying you a really high compliment. They're treating you like a human being and not just a job title. Finally, let's look at the little things, the social lubricants. In America, you're polite, relentlessly polite. You say thank you to the barista for taking the order, for making the coffee, and for handing you the cup. That's 3 thank yous for 1 latte. In Australia, we give a single nod and a cheers. And to us, that's gratitude. It's implied. To Americans, I guess we look like grumpy cavemen. But the biggest clash, complaining. In America, you have a phrase, the customer is always right. In Australia, our phrase is, don't make a fuss. I learned this one the hard way at a steakhouse here in the south. I ordered a ribeye, medium rare. It arrived that grey colour. It was well done. It looked like a boot. My American mate saw it and immediately flagged the waiter. "Excuse me, sir, this isn't right. We need to send it back." I went into full Aussie panic mode. Don't stop. It's fine. I love it. I love grey meat. It builds jaw strength. Don't bother him. Now, my mate looked at me like I was insane. He said, "You paid for a steak. You should get what you paid for." Now, logically, he's right. But culturally, my Aussie brain was screaming. Sending food back feels like an insult to the chef. It creates drama. It makes me look like a tall poppy who thinks he's too good for burnt beef. So, Americans, if your Aussie friend eats a terrible meal in silence, they aren't being passive. They are sacrificing their digestion to save everyone from the fuss. So, are Australians rude? If you judge us by American rules, yeah, we look like nightmares. We insult our mates, we ignore titles, and we refuse to say ma'am. But we don't mean it. We insult you because we want to be close to you. We ignore your title because we respect you as a human, not just your rank. Now, I want to hear from you guys. Have you ever had a rude culture shock moment? Let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next video. Hooroo, mateys.
You better take cover.